Alright, I will be... Okay. Hello, everybody. Oh shit, I haven't downloaded the latest drivers yet for NVIDIA. That's not great. Let me... And yes, I know it still says Hades. Let me fix that. Okay, hello everybody. This is time for the final stream of Dark Souls 1 Remastered. I am joined once more by my perennial co-pilot, Doomtroid. Hello, Doomtroid.
Hello.
And I will be literally just beating the game. Like, that's... I just have Gwyn left to do. I could, in theory, get a few more things on this new game cycle, like level up to just like to get some more Titanite chunks and more large Titanite shards so that I can make it a little easier to get stuff, but I've really done everything I can. I've gotten all of the spells that I can get, including the max out getting the sorcery achievement, because that's the only one that you can complete without going online on a single new game cycle, as far as I can tell, without like access to online. Um, well, no, I guess that's not true because you could get all the miracles and you could get all the pyromancy. So that's not true. I have gotten all of the sorceries and I've gotten all the pyromancies and miracles that I can get. I've gotten all of the rare weapons that you can get so far on your first new game cycle, with the exception of the Dark Hand, because I wasn't able to meet Kath, but I will meet Kath in New Game Plus, so I can get the Dark Hand. And have just generally done everything I can to get ready for New Game Plus. So the only thing left to do is to fight Gwyn. So I guess without further ado, that's just what we're gonna do. I will not be parrying him because I don't really know how to parry or not very good at it. Although I probably...
Brings me to the first thing I was going to say, which is we could either be here for a short time or a very long time. That all depends on how quickly you learn Gwyn's moveset, because he's very easy to beat if you parry him, and if you don't parry him, he could be a real son of a bitch.
Okay, well, unfortunately, as I have said, this is not a fully blind playthrough because I have had a lot of cultural osmosis of Dark Souls, and I didn't ever think I was really going to play this, so I have watched Let's Plays before, so I have some awareness, vaguely, of Gwyn's moveset, but I also know that that doesn't last very long. I should go human, actually. Let me do that. I also don't know it fully well enough that I can say I already know his moveset. And
Why would you be going human if not to summon Solaire?
because I want to be able to see his summon sign. And just say
Okay.
hi. I will probably be going for the Dark Lord ending because you can still link the fire even if you meet Koth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let me just check.
I mean, what you do in the throughout the course of the game has really no bearing on what ending you choose.
Okay, I
It's
just wanted to check.
it's literally just you go in, you kill Gwyn, and then either you press A on the bonfire or you walk out. It's
Yeah,
literally that
I
simple.
am aware to an I'm aware that that's how you make the choice. I didn't realize that you didn't have to meet Koth in order to get the Dark Lord ending, which makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, like doing different things in the course of the playthrough just gives more context
Yeah,
to the endings, I guess.
yeah. Um, I'm just gonna be. Well, I was gonna say I'm gonna be running past the Black Knights, but if I'm gonna want to see the Solaire sign, I probably won't do that. Hello. You know what? Just once, I will get a parry off one of these guys.
Okay. See how easy that was?
Literally my first parry in the entire game. Well, actually, no. I did try parrying a few other enemies, including the first Black Knight that I faced, but my first, like, successful parry in the game.
He even dropped the shield too.
I already got their shield, like, 3 times, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but still.
Is there not a great axe Black Knight in here?
No, there is. He's closer to the end.
Oh, right, he's on the way. He's on the last hallway. In front of the Halberd Knight, who is the literal last one. The literal last Black Knight is the Halberd Knight. This Sword Knight, though, I hate him so much. He's killed me so many times.
The one on the walkway?
On the thin walkway, yeah. Okay, just want to check. Anybody in chat, or can anybody hear me? Stream quality okay? Seems like it's buffering a bit. Check. Anybody in chat, or can anybody hear me? Stream quality okay? Okay, well, I can hear myself fine when I play it back, and it doesn't seem to be stuttering. I did accidentally start processing the first episode of this live stream onto my YouTube channel, which, because I want to get them onto YouTube. So that might have a little bit of slowdown. If it is intolerable, please let me know, and I will stop the stream. Also, as I've said before, I have gone down this path just to get to the Halberd Black Knight, but I haven't really seen anything. And here he is. Here's the golden boy. Precious friend. Mwah. Mwah. I love you. I kiss you. Mwah. Mwah. In a very gay way, because you are lovely and wonderful, Solaire. And I appreciate you. But I will not be summoning you, because I do want to beat Gwyn on my own. Oh.
Also, you're gonna kill him on your second run, right?
Solaire? No, I'm not going to kill him.
I mean, why not?
I don't want to. He's a good boy, and you can see Gwyn down there. Huh.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
All I'm thinking is you saved him on your first run, right? So I guess on your second run it would be logical to do the alternate route and let him get corrupted and kill him, because that's the only way you can get his armor set.
Well, I have no desire to have his armor set, so no, I'm not going to do that. I genuinely
nice looking armor set.
I genuinely have no need to get his armor set. I'm just not gonna do it. I don't want to do it. So let's just drop it. So yeah, I didn't realize you can see Gwyn down there. Interesting. Let me just do a final check if anyone's in the chat. Got any messages left? Nobody's in the chat yet, but alright. Well, 2 more Black Knights. I probably can take off Havel's Ring if I am using... Holy shit, you just blazed through that. Okay, that was...
I like how you're just whiffing every single attack.
I forgot that you don't have as much forward mobility on dash attacks in this game. Okay, I will say the Spear Silver Knights and the Spear Black Knights are the worst because they always turtle behind their shields.
Still pretty easy to parry, though.
I know, but I'm not gonna do it. I got my parry off for the game. Okay. Alright, let me just do some final equipment swaps. Is the stream going okay? Is it buffering or anything?
Oh, looks fine. Also, you don't need to tab out to check chat. I can just tell you if anybody's talking in chat.
I imagine Gwyn does fire damage.
Yep.
Okay, well, let me check. I think I will just use the Eastern leggings. Okay. I just want to wear something other than the black tights, because they look very silly. Yeah, although they are actually quite good, which is frustrating, because, wow, they're actually just straight up better than the Eastern leggings in every way, and they're lighter. God, I'm gonna wear those, aren't I? I feel silly. I could just wear the skirt. You know what? I'm actually going to take off Arturus' helm and wear the thing that I wore throughout the majority of this game, and just the gold hem set. You know. Because really, as soon as I got to Blighttown, I got the gold hem set. That was pretty much what I wore for the rest of the game. Alright. it is time. Let's see. Let me just do a final check on something. It is time for Plin Plin Plon. Hey, me not having any poise is actually proving to be a problem when he can, like, chain me into combos. Oh, fuck. Am I staggering him? Oh.
Not the best attempt.
No, no. I should not have tried to heal there. No humanity. Oh, right. I lost my liquid humanity. Well. Yeah, I kind of fumbled that. Whiffed it. However you want to call it. So I can just run past these Black Knights, right?
Yeah, you can just run past.
Is it going to be a problem running past the one, like, on the walkway, though?
Shouldn't be.
I actually honestly think I could have gotten him there if I hadn't tried to, like, heal at a really dumb time.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, for using the Claymore, you were still doing pretty decent damage.
I mean, it is a maxed Claymore. It's got 462 AR when two-handed, and I'm always two-handing it, so I have effectively 462 AR.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not that much less than the Black Knight Greatsword, by the way. It's like, what, I think like 40 less? Oh, well.
Oh. That's what you get for going the left side, not the right side.
I understand now. Also, there goes the 10 humanity. Or 9 humanity, rather. I'm curious, like, if this is, like, kind of a hammer space thing, because if we're underneath Firelink Shrine, like, we can't, like, the path to Fire, like, the Firelink altar is beneath Firelink Shrine. That much makes at least some kind of sense. But, like, this actual, like, whole giant portal area just kind of appears out of nowhere, and that looks like there's, like, some kind of big wall. So I'm not really sure where we are. And that's probably, like, there's probably some intentional space fuckery going on.
Yeah.
Especially given that,
When
like...
you go to this place in Dark Souls 3, it makes even less sense. You just get teleported.
Well, you get teleported to some place that looks like Firelink Shrine, and then you get teleported again to the Kiln of the First Flame, which is essentially just the Dreg Heap. It's the Dreg Heap.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it's ever really like touched upon if the Firelink Shrine of Dark Souls 3 has any relation to the Firelink Shrine of Dark Souls 1.
It does. I don't think... Well, how do I say this? Like, they don't touch upon it at all. It's never really touched upon. They never say one way or another, like, oh, this is the Firelink Shrine of Dark Souls 1. I don't think it is, though, based upon the fact that they don't really look the same. But that's another conversation. Nope. Okay, that was not a good attempt. I got grabbed and it went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always painful to watch a Gwyn fight where somebody doesn't parry.
Well, sorry, Mr. Parry Everything. I'm choosing
I
to
mean,
not do it.
if you're good at it, then why not, right? Like, Dark Souls 1 was my first Dark Souls game, and yeah, parrying is pretty easy in Dark Souls 1. And then, going to play Dark Souls 3, it's a lot more of a learning curve, it's the timing is a bit more awkward in Dark Souls 3, but once you get good at it, it's very, very rewarding, especially against like Pontiff Sullivan,
Yeah.
Champion Gundyr.
Wait, you can parry Gundyr?
Yes. Do you not remember my clips of me
Oh,
parrying
I
Champion
remember. Yes, I
Gundyr?
remember now. I remember now. Sorry, I forgot.
I had one clip of me like parrying him 3 times in a row and just getting massive damage.
Nice. In Millennia, against Millennia, that would get you 1 riposte.
God, the thing is, I fucking hate the way parrying works in Elden Ring. It feels too high risk, low reward, right? You have to parry 3 fucking times just to get 1 riposte, and the riposte doesn't even do that much damage.
Well,
It just
that's only
doesn't feel
against
worth it.
that's only really against like some very specific enemies. One of them is Millennia. The others can get either riposted or at least stunned enough that you can get a hit in, or 3,
I
with
think
just one
with
parry.
Melania, it unless you're doing like a no-hit run or like a soul level 1 run, like it just doesn't make sense to parry her as a normal strategy, because why would you be parrying her when you could just stun lock her most of the time with any weapon? You
Well,
know?
depends on the weapon, but yeah. In any event, I fought you in Dark Souls 3, old man. When you could throw lightning. You don't scare me. Okay. You do scare me because, you really... I thought this set had high fire resistance.
I think it should.
Okay, then why is he doing so much fucking damage to me?
I mean, it's the final boss. What do you expect?
Final bosses in Souls game I usually expect to be fairly easy, actually.
Well, that's because your favorite Souls game is Dark Souls 2.
Well, hey, Soul Cinder wasn't actually that difficult. Also,
I don't know. I
was...
feel like most people struggle with Soul Cinder. I think Soul Cinder's harder than Nameless King.
Well, let's to be clear, Soul Cinder is not harder than King of the Storm, if only because camera. At least the camera works in Soul Cinder.
I mean, King of the Storm is more time-consuming and annoying than anything else.
Fine.
Like if you're using a large enough weapon, it's not that hard to hit the head.
Right.
Especially especially if it's a heavy weapon, you can get a stagger pretty quickly.
Fair. I think the boss I can't really remember. It was a while ago, but obviously I think the boss that I struggled the most with in Dark Souls 3, besides Sister Frida, who like literally took me, I don't know, like she didn't take me as long as Millennia, I think, but maybe because I didn't do it all in one, tried to do it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
But Sister Frida, and then after Sister Frida, not Nameless King. I think I actually had more trouble with Pontiff Sullivan.
Yeah, I can see. I think Pontiff Sullivan is the breaking point for a lot of people playing Dark Souls 3, because up to that point I don't think anything's like super hard. Like maybe Abyss Watchers is kind of difficult, but like you get to Sullivan, you know, Irithyll is a gauntlet in and of itself, right? Like it's not
Irithyll
an
is a
easy area.
pretty big... Like, Catacombs of Karthus is, like, really difficult, but Irithyll, like, is difficult for different reasons.
Yeah. You know, and then you get to Sullivan and you're like, oh, finally this area's, almost over with. I just have to beat the boss, and then you just fight by far the hardest boss of
Up to that
the game
point,
up to
yeah.
that point.
So yeah, I would say the hardest boss for me in vanilla Dark Souls 3 was Sullivan, and overall it was Sister Frida, but I don't think that's really surprising.
I think Frida is definitely the hardest boss in the game. Like, for context, I beat Midir and Gale both in maybe like
And
six or
it,
seven attempts
yeah,
each.
I know, I was there, remember?
Yeah, you watched me do that for the first time, and like, they were tough bosses. You know, they were very enjoyable and challenging, but I don't feel like they were like incredibly difficult. As long as you know, like they're both well choreographed, right? Like, it's easy to tell, like just by the animations, what attack they're about to do, and then you just have to dodge accordingly,
Yeah.
right? With Frida, that is just it's like a
Oh, they've got a 4-hit combo.
Frida feels like a marathon, right? Like you just
Yes.
you have to endure all three phases every single go, and you know phase three is by far the hardest one and the most likely where you're gonna get fucked.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry, I just would like to concentrate. I choked. I absolutely choked.
Damn. I thought you were gonna get it that time.
I thought I was too. But yes, Frida is a marathon, and the third phase is the hardest. Honestly, I think they honestly could have just completely skipped the first phase with there's just Frida by herself.
That's exactly what I was
And
gonna
they
say. I
should have
feel like the first phase is far too easy, right? Like you can get
you can stun lock her almost
the
the
more
entire
you practice
phase.
the fight, you can get through phase one without taking a single point of damage, right? Like
The only thing that's annoying is the invisible attack when she can do the like toss you in the air and like cut your neck open. And that's that's
thing
not
with
like
Frida
the hardest.
It's Frida rewards you for being aggressive, right? Because she's like Melania in the way that you can just stun her so easily.
Well, even
right?
more than Melania, because Frida literally uses a player character model with player character poise. Oh.
Yeah, but like, you just even when she's invisible, it's very easy to tell where she's going. So you just fucking sprint after her and just attack her. Like, yeah, that's all it is. Like, would never get hit by any of her invisible attacks just because it's so easy to tell where she's going, and so you just have to chase her and then hit her out of the attack. Same thing with phase 3. Like, phase 3 was fucking my asshole for the longest time, and then I realized, like, even in phase 3, when she goes invisible, you can just chase her and stun her out of whatever she was gonna do.
Just
because the one attack that would always hit me, it was like, you know, it's the same sort of attack that Lorien does with it's like a fucking shockwave, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
it's where he teleports away and it breaks her lock on, and then she like charges up a big thing and then dashes at you. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a big column of flames.
Oh
right?
yes, I remember that.
And the thing was, I always felt like I was dodging it with perfect timing, but the column is wide to the point where I would dodge away from it, but I would still get hit by the very edge, and it does so much fucking damage. But then I realized she starts that attack by going invisible and like dashing backwards away from you, and she never even will do the attack if you just chase her and hit her out of it.
Uh-oh.
And that was basically the key to beating that fight for me, was just being aggressive. Now phase 2, on the other hand, you have to be much more, you know, calculated with how you play things, because you focus one and the other one can just fuck your ass out of nowhere. Especially if you get frostbitten by Frida.
Especially if like you lose track of Frida and she starts healing.
Yeah. That's always your best damage phase 2, is when she tries to start healing.
Yeah, but that relies on you finding her. And if Ariandel's like totally like pressuring you, you might lose track. Also, hold on, let's be quiet for a sec, please. I should not have gone for that heal. I don't know, you're gonna see in a second, but he like went from idle to like dashing with 0.
Yeah, he's a fast motherfucker.
But yes, I hear what you're saying about Frida. Midir took me like 2 hours, I think. 2.5 hours. I think I might have been a little bit over-leveled, but I'm not sure. I did beat Midir before fighting Gale, but that's what you did too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was gonna say is that whereas Madeir and Gale took me about 6 attempts each, I spent fighting Frida for me was over the course of multiple days, right? Like I beat champions Gravetender and Wolf, right? And then there was nothing else for me to do in the DLC, so I went and I was gonna fight her, and this was like, in the evening, right? Like around bedtime. So I fought her for maybe like 2 hours, and I got so frustrated. Like I had not even gotten to phase 3 yet. Like I was still
I
stuck on
think I
phase 2.
remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, I was still stuck on phase 2. I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna come back to it later." I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, right? Had breakfast and everything. I loaded it back up, and then I spent another like 4 fucking hours fighting her. I still did not beat the fight, right? So we're at like 6 hours now. I'm more familiar now with all the phases, but phase 3 is still fucking my ass. I take a break. I come back to it later that night, and then I finally beat it.
Yeah, I
That's
actually.
probably the boss across all 3 Soul games, even Elden Ring, even Demon Souls. That fight took me by far the longest to
Yeah,
beat because
I.
Frida, it has no business being that long.
Well, yeah, I think I'd like to have the further discussion about that another time because I would like to concentrate once I'm fighting Gwyn. But I will say I actually think I misremembered. I think Frida did take me a little longer than Millennia, or sometime longer than Millennia.
Yeah.
Ooh,
My thing with Melania is the first time I fought her, I just used a Mimic tier to beat her, right? So that didn't really feel like a very rewarding victory. But then on my New Game Plus run, I parried her, and that took some doing because,
yeah.
you have to learn her parry windows and
You
everything.
have to parry her 3 times in a row too,
Yeah. And
or not in a
it,
row,
it,
but in like
this
relatively
fight
quick succession.
it's always like a question of should I try to parry this attack or should I just try to dodge through
Yeah.
and get
Okay.
damage in, because when you're only doing damage by riposte and then you say you get hit like twice, right? It feels like she hits you twice and then all the damage that you just got from a riposte is gone, right? Because she just
Yeah,
heals.
because she
And
heals.
so you've got to be more aggressive
Okay.
than just, parrying.
I don't want to interrupt, but can we be quiet for a sec?
Mm.
Sorry. Oh, I thought I could stagger him.
Nice, good job.
Thank you.
I really thought you were gonna choke again. You just kept getting hit. Like you would Estus and then you would get hit, and then you would Estus and then you would get hit, and you just never, pulled the trigger and killed him.
I kept trying to find a place where I could be comfortable where, okay, I can take a hit if I need to. Okay,
Yeah.
so if I walk out, I trigger the ending, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I can go to the bonfire and link it, and that'll be that ending.
Yep.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me just read his soul first. I know I'm gonna have it in New Game Plus, but I want to see. Contains an incredible power. Soul of Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight and Cinder, who linked the first flame. Lord Gwyn bequeathed most of his power to the gods and burned to cinder for the first flame, but even so, Lord Gwyn's soul is a powerful thing indeed. Yep. And then fittingly, the only other soul left in my possession is the soul of Manus, father of the abyss. This extraordinary soul is a viscous, lukewarm lump of gentle humanity. Ancient Manus was clearly once human, but he became the father of the abyss after his humanity went wild, eternally seeking his precious broken pendant. Which I did actually end up finding. I did find the pendant that actually, does something in the fight. Silver pendant deflects dark. Silver pendant engraved with the crest of Artorias, one of the ancient treasures of Anor Londo, presented to Artorias for facing the abyss. Effectively deflects the dark of the abyss, especially in its magic forms. So, that was Gwyn.
Did you not use Manus' soul for a weapon or like a spell?
The only things you can get with it are the Pursuer's spell, which I can't use, and the Manus Catalyst, which I also can't use. So I just kept it. I just didn't get rid of it.
Okay.
So now the question: link the fire or leave it to die? Now
that is entirely up to you.
Yes. There is no path beyond the reach of light, beyond the scope of dark. What could possibly await us? And yet we seek it insatiably, such is our fate. I am not going to link the first flame on this run, even though I didn't meet Koth. And that is because, even though I know it's fucked up in some other ways, I do kind of prefer that ending. But the irony of ironies is that on New Game Plus, which is the one I am going to give the Lord Vessel to Koth, specifically so that I can join the Dark Race Covenant and get the achievement for it and get one of the items that I need for the rare items achievement, rare weapons achievement, I will be linking the first flame on that run, which I think is a little bit amusing. So
yep.
I will
go for it.
Leave, and I will talk more about my thoughts on Dark Souls over the credits, if that's all right, because I have now beaten the game.
My lord, bless thy safe return. Let Kath and Fraft serve your highness. We are here to serve your highness. Let true dark be cast upon the world. Our Lord hath returned.
So, any thoughts?
Well, first thing I'm going to say, there's a lot of Polish names here. That's somewhat unexpected. I don't know. Maybe the redesign element of this was done by a Polish studio.
Maybe. I don't know.
The other thing I'm going to say is that it wouldn't be Dark Souls 1 without them having a mistake in the early modern English at the very end. Our Lord hath returned is not our Lord hath returned. That's the right way to do it. Our Lord hath returned is not. No.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have a master's degree like you, but even I could tell that that's not the correct way to say that.
Master's degree in the subject too. Yeah. So, first thing I'm gonna say, I can absolutely, completely understand not just how Dark Souls 1 had the impact that it did, but continues to have the impact that it does. I am a little bit immured, a little bit inoculated against some of the wonder, but given that the only thing really before this like this was Demon Souls, and even that was quite different, and for this to be the first such experience of this style in 2011, absolutely would have taken the world by storm the way it did. So I'm
I
not
think
surprised.
I don't know if perhaps it had to do with just how aggressively they marketed the game, but I know when on release, Demon Souls was far more niche and a cult classic, I guess you could say, than Dark Souls. Dark Souls was like popular from the get-go, right? And that's what got people interested in Demon Souls. But Demon Souls was not big before Dark Souls came out.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they just advertised Dark Souls a lot better.
Well, also Dark Souls was not console exclusive. Demon Souls was a PS3 exclusive, which
Yeah, that is
did
true.
help. It was a PS3 exclusive that got barely any marketing because Sony was really skeevy about how many resources they wanted to put into it. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know
Can you
this.
imagine an alternate reality where Sony advertises Demon Souls well on PS3, it sells really well, and then the Souls series just becomes PlayStation exclusive?
That's an unfortunate
That would
possibility.
suck.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know the story, but the story goes is that the some senior game producer at Sony Studios tested an early build of Demon Souls and was absolutely stuck, and he hated it. He's like, "This is the worst game I've ever played. I'm never good. Like, this absolutely shouldn't be greenlit." And it
Typical person
Wait.
who should have no business being in the video game industry.
wait. Let me finish. So that happened, but through some company politics, the game still got greenlit and still got produced, although it was, kind of not on a shoestring budget, but not nearly as big of a budget as it could have gotten. And then that was part of the reason why Sony allowed From Software to go on to Bandai Namco instead of staying a Sony studio. And then obviously Dark Souls got made and became a huge hit, and From Software got a much bigger than it already had been. And all that stuff. The senior producer, who I don't remember his name, but he is Japanese, has long since said that he recognizes he was absolutely wrong with his earlier judgment of Demon Souls, and he would have had a significantly different approach and judgment if he had understood its appeal. And he acknowledges that he was wrong to dismiss this as a terrible game that will never sell, and we shouldn't greenlight it.
Yeah, I've probably told you this many times before, but one thing that just never ceases to infuriate me is when decisions get made in video games that are based entirely off of somebody who's not good at video games, right? Like, I get that there's people who don't play video games for difficulty, there are people who are not good at difficult video games, right? And at a certain point, you just have to accept certain video games might not be for you. They might not appeal to you, and you can just get the fuck over it and not, play that game, right? There's no sense in complaining about a game that is not up your alley, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
I would. Sorry, go on.
You've got, I guess I wouldn't say devs, because usually devs tend to be pretty good at their own games, right? Like, that's why devs make the games that they do, is because they like the game, and so they make the game. But it's usually like more corporate crap that gets in the way of game development and causes good games not to reach their full potential. But then you've also got, and I've ranted to you about this before, fucking game journalists who are just
Okay,
I don't understand how somebody who could be so utterly garbage at playing video games could be a fucking journalist.
Okay.
Quote unquote journalist for a living.
Okay, I really don't want to have this conversation because I was trying to use the story about Dark Souls' development as a segue into my thoughts on it, not something else.
Yeah.
So, before I go fight the Asylum demon, because I will try to get to Firelink at least before I end the stream. So this is a good game. This is a very good game. After having played both the other two Dark Souls games and Elden Ring, although I have not played Bloodborne or Sekiro, I will say that. This has aged, and I think a lot of that stuff that I think I did not enjoy this as much as I would have if this had been my first, because I was used to some of the quality of life changes in the other 3 games by From Software that I have played that are of this style. I'm talking stuff like how the menus work, fast travel, consumable design, some parts of the level design, and by which I mean, like, the absolute godly absence of bonfires for very long stretches of certain areas, that kind of thing. Although that last one is more of a preference point because there is a challenge, and there have been other parts in the series, and even in Elden Ring, where there are long gaps between graces or bonfires.
Yep.
So,
See, I want to say, I do agree with you, right? This game definitely has aged, and there are definitely aspects of it that don't really make sense anymore, and they're more frustrating than challenging, right?
yes.
Especially when you've got Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring to compare to. And I brought this idea up with you before, but concerning Dark Souls 2. I think Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 deserve the same treatment, right? Obviously, you're playing Dark Souls Remastered, but it doesn't really feel like a remaster. It
Yeah,
still
I was
feels like
going to
sort of
say, it doesn't, like, from what I know of the original Dark Souls, this is essentially the original Dark Souls, but they put an extra bonfire, the ability to use multiple consumables at once, and, like, some minor lighting and VFX changes.
Yeah,
they didn't actually
just
really
like,
address anything.
it's essentially just a fresh coat of paint, right? It's not anything like that really changed. I think Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 deserve the same treatment, which would be take them like Demon and hell, it doesn't even need to be FromSoft that does it, right? Because Bluepoint did a really, really fantastic job with the Demon Souls remake, right? Bluepoint does great work. They did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, they did Demon Souls remake. I don't know what else they've worked on, but just going off of those two, they do. I think give Dark Souls 1 and 2 to Bluepoint, right? If FromSoft doesn't have the time or the manpower for it, right? Have them remake Dark Souls 1 and 2 in the way that they did with Demon Souls, right? Have it be faster paced combat, have it look graphically fantastic, add more quality of life stuff, especially the quality of life. They have to have more quality of life. And then you could have 2 different versions of the game, right? You could have a version of the game for purists, right? It's essentially the same game, but with that graphical enhancement, right, and maybe the quality of life stuff. And then you could have a new version of the game with, say, extra bonfires, fast traveling between bonfires. You could so what I mean, I don't know how anybody would feel about being able to fast travel from the very beginning of the game. I feel like that would sort
I
of
don't.
break the
Yeah,
pacing.
I agree that fast traveling from the beginning of the game, not being able to, is very good to sit. Sorry, can I talk now?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, I think the beginning of the game is paced well without the fast traveling, right? Like it's intentional that they don't give you the Lord Vessel for the beginning of the game because they want you to explore and discover how interconnected the world is, right? I think it's fantastically designed, but I think what they could do for a remake is at least once you get the Lord Vessel,
you
make
can
it possible to travel
to
between
every
all
yes,
bonfires.
that's
And
honestly just something that
which
should have been in the remaster, because
yeah.
there are some, like, once you get that, you have traveled through the bulk of the mega interconnected parts of the world, because all of the, like, places that you go through for the Lord Vessel, for, like, the post Lord Vessel areas, like New Londo, Demon Ruins onwards, Catacombs onwards, Duke's Archives, are kind of end in dead ends. The exception is kind of New Londo, which loops back into New Valley of the Drakes, but in that defense, you can actually get to New Londo and do most of it before even getting the Lord Vessel.
Yeah. And then I think just as far as like the new bonfires go,
There's
there
one. He's the Lord of one.
definitely needs to be a bonfire in Lost Izalith without a doubt, right?
There also
And God,
needs to be one in New
I'm
Londo.
just trying to think like what they could even do with Lost Izalith, right? Like obviously Lost Izalith is extremely unfinished.
That
You
and
know?
yeah, and that's it was the first game From Software was making under Bandai Namco, and they didn't want to take too many risks, or rather, Bandai Namco didn't want to take too many risks with a new product and a new IP, and had From Software on a budget and a time constraint, and there's just some parts that were given less attention because of it.
Yeah.
But in
But
terms
like
of what they could do with Lost Izalith, go on. What were you gonna say?
um I'm just imagining, in a perfect world where they did this idea, imagining a Lost Islith where they've removed most of, if not all, of the undead dragon butts, right? And then filled that whole area with like actual content instead of just a massive field of lava and like two the semi buildings with a bonfire in one. They could actually make that area like a level, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
or
then
even just like, I don't know. Yeah, or even just put like some actual enemies that require interaction there. Would do a
yeah,
lot.
and then
Um,
obviously the real kicker, make Bed of Chaos I don't know how they would, but make Bed of Chaos a real boss that's fun to fight and not just a fucking gimmick that's a pain in the ass. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yes, I know. I'm not exactly sure how they could do that without kind of rebuilding it from the ground up, since kind of conceptually it doesn't really work. But I hear you. I also think that they really should put a bonfire in New Londo, like near Ingward or something,
yeah, that
because
that was gonna be my next point. I think there needs to be a bonfire like at the halfway point, like after you drain the water, put a bonfire like right there.
yeah, something like that. Like maybe in like the first kind of big room, like in the first big room that you enter after draining the water with like all of those kennels or stables, there's like two of them have dark rays, but one of them could very easily have a bonfire. Just have a
Yeah,
bonfire in there. Now
definitely.
I know lore wise it wouldn't exactly make sense because it had just been flooded, but figure something
Yeah.
out. So to get onto my thoughts of Dark Souls 1, absolutely better than any of the other games in the series, including Dark Souls 3, and in some way, not always compared to Elden Ring, but some ways, the world design flows into each other in a fantastically interconnected way that is honestly unparalleled and would have been unparalleled at the time as well. The fact that you can
Like I
see,
said, I'm going to interrupt you for just one small thought. Dark Souls is a perfect example of an open world Metroidvania.
yes, you've told me that. I get that. But like the fact that you can see so much of the map, even though it's sections of the map that can actually be explored. I know, like the Todd Howard, you see that mountain, you can go there, but like, and there's a lot that you can see that you can't get to, but there's a lot that you see that you can get to, and that you were like, oh, I know that spot. I was there from this angle like 2 hours ago. And that's fantastic. That only really applies for like the pre-Anor Londo areas, and in some cases within Anor Londo itself, because once you get to the Lord Vessel areas, with the exception of New Londo mostly, they are kind of like straight shots. Not core, like within the levels themselves, there's like, a fair bit of moving around, at least the Duke's Archives, at least. But in like the catacombs into the Tomb of the Giants is kind of a straight line moment mostly, as is Demon Ruins into Lost Islith. The exception for Lost Islith is if you unlock the shortcut, but that's kind of a whole separate thing where you can just skip the entire level.
I mean, I think out of the four Lord Vessel areas, I think New Londo, Catacombs, and Tomb of the Giants, and then the Duke's Archives, they're not badly designed, right? I think, like, I mean,
I don't think they're badly designed either, although I think Lost Islith is, and I think Tomb of the Giants goes over the top with some of the difficulty elements in terms of like you are getting shot by arrows archers that you can't see, and you need to have a light source, so that takes up a head slot or a left arm slot, and you have these giant fucking undead beast things that flip the fuck out and kill you.
yeah,
But
I think
I think
Tomb
Tomb
of
of
the
the Giants
Giants would
is
be
over too.
better if it just didn't have the darkness mechanic at all. Like, obviously, it would be a dark area, but I don't mean like pitch black. Like,
Yeah, I know you're probably gonna get frustrated, but something like either Undead Crypt or No Man's Wharf, where like maybe there is a benefit to the
dude,
lantern.
I can you imagine they remake Dark Souls 1 and 2 and they just bring the lanterns back? Oh my god, that'd be or not lanterns, torches. Just bring torches back. Why
Yeah,
not? It's a good fucking mechanic.
yeah. Like if it's like maybe like I don't know, maybe if they could keep the darkness and even keep the light mechanic, just maybe they make it a little less oppressive.
Yeah.
So to keep going, sorry, were you done or can I keep going?
I was gonna say, Tomb of the Giants would be much better if it wasn't pitch black. And then Lost Islith is bad just because it's unfinished. Because the whole thing with Lost Islith is that there's a lack of level there. You're sitting there holding sprint and running forward for like the majority of the
Yeah.
area. There's just nothing to do.
What the best part of Lost Isolith is that you can skip most of it if you.
Yeah, like it's boring. I guess it's
Yeah.
just boring. You
Which
sit
is
there, and the area is absolutely massive for no fucking reason. Like there's
there's
no
like
point to
nothing
it.
there. There's very little there. Like even the actual structure doesn't have very much. There's like that underground sewer area with Siegmeyer, and that's kind of it. Like besides that, it's like 2 platforms that you can go up with the roots on, and
Yeah.
that's kind of it. Which is frustrating because Los Angeles is such a cool like the design of the buildings is really really cool. I've told you before, and I've said it on stream, including when you weren't here. I love Angkor Wat. I love Cambodian that kind of Cambodian architecture,
Yeah.
and it's really frustrating to see it wasted on an area that doesn't really use it.
That's what I'm saying. Like if they were to remake it, they could just like totally like wipe that lava field with all the undead butts and just like turn that into a level, right? If they turned that whole section into an actual level with like, you know, design and you know a structure and just make like the end part make the end part of
Lost Isles.
yeah, the you know Lost Isles proper, just make that like the end of the level, that would work perfectly.
Yeah. So can I go on to what I was going to say?
Yeah.
So the game is also really really good at parceling out information and tools. Well, actually, no. Let me reiterate. Let me rephrase that. The game is really really good balance wise with a fair number of the bosses. Like yeah, there's Pinwheel, but you don't have some of the like extreme highs and lows of Elden Ring, where like you've got a bajillion Erdtree avatars, and that's a little bit unfair because Elden Ring is like a straight up open world game. But in terms of difficulty, like you've got the Erdtree avatars and such that you can kind of just snooze through, and then you've also got on the other hand like your Millennias and your depending on your build Malekiths and such.
I'm not sure how relevant it really is, but the thing that sucks about Elden Ring is that it is an open world game only in concept, but if we're talking about like in practice, it's not because the game is going to heavily usher you away from certain areas such as Caelid, right? Like I went to Caelid before I even killed
Godric.
Margit, right?
Oh,
Like I got stuck on Margit, and so I just went off and I explored. I went to Caelid. I actually got to Caelid from Chifra,
okay.
and then
I hear you. I hear you. I don't want to
but like
interrupt. I just don't want to go on a tangent because I do want to try to build to a point.
let me just say one thing. I distinctly remember fighting that the first rotted Erdtree avatar, you know, the one that's on like a low platform, uh, like right next to the catacomb entrance.
Yeah, and
Um,
in the
I
dragon
distinctly remember
the
getting to
dragon
that.
barrow fork. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fucking impossible at in the early game because that thing has insane amounts of health and it's guaranteed to just kill you instantly because that game has a stat that is tied to your resistance to insta kill. And that's not like a poison or anything. That's like if you're not high enough level and that stat is not high enough, no matter where you go, an enemy will just insta kill you.
Yes, and there
And
is a
I think
very
that's fucking
there's a
stupid.
very serious criticism and one that I agree with as well that the way the balancing of that stat is not even because you have a pretty smooth balancing of how high you can keep your vigor or how low you can keep your vigor until the mountaintop of the giants, and then it becomes if you don't have 40 vigor, everything two shots you or one shots you.
Yeah.
So this game is generally better about balancing the bosses. That does not mean that all of the bosses are good. There are, in fact, quite a number of just bosses that I think are just very badly balanced or, quite terrible. But in terms of like,
Yeah, I
if
think
there's,
out of all the Souls game, Dark Souls 1 has the most bad bosses.
I'm surprised to hear you say that, but I do agree.
Well, here's the thing with Dark Souls 2, right? There's a lot of boring bosses. There's a lot of mediocre bosses or bosses that probably just shouldn't exist. I'm looking at you, Royal Rat Vanguard. Um,
But they're not like
but like none of them are a lot of them are not inherently bad. But in Dark Souls 1, you've got a lot of bosses that are just inherently bad.
yes, and I'm
Right?
not just talking about Beta Chaos. I'm thinking like Iron Golem, which doesn't really seem balanced for the area it's in. I'm talking Capra Demon, whose like arena design actually doesn't seem like it's supposed to account for the fact that there's just two dogs thrown in there. I'm talking
I
about
think it's really unfortunate that none of the Lord Souls bosses are like really good. Like Bed of Chaos is obviously shit, right?
Yes.
In my opinion, I think Nito is
Not fun.
one of the worst bosses in the fucking game. I fucking despise Nito. I don't think there's anything interesting about that fight. It's just a skeleton gank, and
Yes.
you have to rely on the boss killing its own gank
Minions. Yes.
to actually, get
See,
a chance to fight it. And then Seath is just tedious, right? If you die to Seath, you have to
it's
run all the way
one of
back
the
to the fucking
worst
Crystal
boss.
Cavern. Especially if you're trying to cut its tail off, right? Cutting Seath's tail off is a massive pain in the ass.
And then the four kings are arguably the best, but it's just the same enemy 4 times or more, depending on how you reduce their
And
health
then the thing
in a
is,
Black
Four
Void.
Kings is not a boss that I would even recommend anybody like try to fight. Like the thing is, you just put on
Heavy
Havel's
armor
armor
and
and you
damage
just
raise.
fucking stand next to them and tank through everything. It's not
So-
a hard boss.
I disagree with some of your assertions, but I was gonna say, like, because in this game we've got like Capra Demon and the Capra Demon by itself is not actually that bad, although it's annoying that it just becomes like a copy, pasted enemy. But like the arena is not designed for it with 2 dogs.
Yeah. Also, Ceaseless Discharge.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to that. So, and then you have Ceaseless Discharge, which I didn't really properly fight. I used the, cliff kill, but the fact that a cliff kill exists is interesting. I like it when bosses have multiple strategies like that, and that's why something like the Taurus Demon, can I finish? Why the Taurus Demon is good. Is actually not that bad. It's not a good boss, but it's not that bad. But I was gonna say, like, this game has some pretty good highs. I'm talking, like, Ornstein and Smo is really good boss. The DLC bosses, except for the Sanctuary Guardian, are all really good. What else? Gaping Dragon I didn't have a huge amount of difficulty with, but it is a good boss.
Yeah, Gaping Dragon's not hard at all, unless you're just really bad at the game for some reason. I think Gaping Dragon's quite easy, because it's extremely slow, and it's very easy to just run around the side of it and hit it in the tail.
Quelaag was actually probably my favorite boss pre-Orlando. I think Quelaag is my favorite boss pre-Orlando.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, I actually think that, like, in terms of the boss balance, Dark Souls 1 is kind of all over the place. And I don't just mean in terms of difficulty, I mean in terms of quality. And it really fluctuates in some really bad ways. I also just think the game balance in general is poor. There's way too many ways that you can just break it really early on, and then the rest of the game is a cakewalk. And comparatively, there's also a lot of ways where you can screw yourself out of kind of being able to progress if you fuck your stats up or something like that, or you, like, upgrade a bad weapon. And also, I think the upgrade system is, like, tedious to the extreme. The fact that you have to ascend weapons at different stages with a huge amount of ore, and to get boss weapons you have to get max level, like almost max level weapons, is just absurd and annoying.
Yeah, that would be another thing that would definitely warrant changing in a remake. They would just completely overhaul the upgrade system, right? Do it the way Dark Souls 3 does it, where with boss souls you just have to talk to the NPC that does it, and they just automatically transpose. You
Dark
waste
Souls
a ton
2.
of time farming Titanite and
Dark
shit
Souls 2
to
does
get a
it as
weapon
well.
to max level.
Dark Souls 2 does that as well. Although that one's split between 2 different NPCs, and sometimes some bosses have different weapons for the same NPC, or same different items from different NPCs, but you get it. Yeah, I agree with you. I also think that, and this might be me being a bit spoiled by listening to the Bloodborne soundtrack and listening to the Dark Souls 3 soundtrack, and in some cases the Dark Souls 2 soundtrack. I think that this game's music is not as good as the rest of the series and stuff.
That's the first point you're gonna make where I'm gonna heavily disagree with you, because I think out of every FromSoft game, Dark Souls 1 has by far the best soundtrack, because you've got,
you got Gaping Dragon, you've got Gwyn.
Yeah, so I'm just talking about, like, in the chronological order that you hear these songs. You've got the character creation theme, right, which is fantastic. You've got Firelink Shrine, which is just so calming, relaxing, such a chill theme, and it fits the atmosphere perfectly. You've got the theme of Asylum Demon and Taurus Demon, right? It's the same music, but it's still a really good theme.
Yeah.
Battle Gargoyles has a fantastic track. Gaping Dragon is fucking amazing. Quelaag's theme is phenomenal, and it never stops. I think Cease theme is pretty good too. And then Gwyn. How can we not talk about Gwyn?
Yeah.
Ornstein and Smo has fantastic music.
Dark Sun Gwynlyn is actually pretty good.
Yes, Gwendolyn's theme as well. Like
Gwendolyn's not a good boss, but it's a good theme.
By far the most banger boss soundtracks in the game. Like Dark Souls 3 has some really good ones, like Champion Gundyr, Dragon Slayer armor, uh, Nameless
Slave Knight
King.
Gale.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
but like Dark Souls 3 has a lot of bosses where the music is just, forgettable.
Well, yeah, and I would actually think that Dark Souls 2 is really, really good in its own way, but the Dark Souls 2 can't get the short end of the stick because it is very atmospheric music. It's usually, in the vanilla game at least, a lot of the bosses are kind of quieter. The boss themes are kind of more meant to be listened to alongside the boss
Yeah,
as opposed to
I think
just being
Dark Souls
bangers.
2 excels in, as far as the music goes, it excels in different areas than
Yeah.
1 and 3, right? Like, Dark Souls 2 has fantastic, atmospheric music, like the title theme for Dark Souls 2 is really nice, and then
Majula,
you've got Majula, you've got the lands betwixt.
Things Betwixt, the Firekeeper song, yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good. I don't know if there's any other area themes.
The Milfanito song?
What?
Milfanito's song in the Shrine of Amana.
Oh, right, yeah, that one's pretty good too. Um, but like to me, I gotta be completely honest. The only boss theme that I really remember sticking in my head from
Is
the
Ruin
entirety
Sentinel
of Dark
/
Souls
Smelter
2,
Demon.
yes, Ruin Central theme slaps. It sounds very unique and it leaves an impression. Whereas all
Yeah.
the other ones are just, I don't know, they're forgettable.
I can understand that. There's a lot that I agree that I don't really listen to on my own time in the same way that I listen to a lot of Elden Ring's soundtrack on my time. But I agree. I do think that in my personal opinion, and this is just because I've become a little bit like frustrated with the overuse of vocals. This one is still my least favorite of the 3 Dark Souls games, soundtrack wise. But I perfectly understand that you have a different opinion on that, and that I might. And like, it's not like I think
as
this.
far as
I don't think the
music is
soundtrack is bad.
music is probably the most subjective thing
Yeah.
anyone could, compare.
Yeah. In terms of art direction, I think the game does have some really fantastic like architecture and like locale design and appearances. I do think that it's missing, and I mean, I'm spoiled a bit about this after playing Elden Ring, and I do think that it is missing some color. I think a lot of areas could have been improved a lot with just some more vibrant colors. And I know that like it's
Yeah.
a dark world, it's dreary, it's depressing, but like Dark Souls 2 still found ways to create color without like taking away from that entirely. And Dark Souls 3 also actually still has some color. I think Dark Souls 3 has too many grays, but it still has some color in a way that Dark Souls 1 sometimes feels like it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not
It's actually
talking.
so weird. It makes me think of playing Dark Souls 3, and for the majority of the game, everything feels very dreary, right, and gray. And then you get to Archdragon Peak, and Archdragon Peak is just so bright. It's like blue skies and sunlight. It's like this is not Dark Souls.
Yeah. What else? The voice acting is mostly good. It's probably still the worst in the series at some times. There's a few people who kind of were phoning it in, but that's not really a big deal. This is completely personal and does not really a realistic complaint that early modern English butchering really bothers me, but they managed to get over it starting in the second game, so I can't really blame them. And I'm not like taking a point off for that. Like it's just a personal like pet peeve. Um, I do think, and this is going to sound weird coming from somebody who likes Dark Souls 2, the game, and this is also probably just because I played so much Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, is the game feels real janky at times. And I'm talking about like the fact that you can only move in 8 directions when you're locked on. I'm talking about
Not being
the
able to sprint when
not
locked on.
not being able to sprint when locked on. I'm talking about um, the funny thing is, this game actually has the best like jump of the 3 main Dark Souls games because you just have to hit the same button that you're already hitting instead of trying to find an awkward way to hit the left stick. But like the game feels really like stilted and slow at times, which is again going to sound really weird coming from somebody who likes Dark Souls 2, but I think kind of the difference is
Yeah,
that Dark
that's the
Souls.
thing. For me, Dark Souls 1 has never felt that way because it was the first Souls game I played, so that just sort of felt like the norm, right? Whereas then going and playing Dark Souls 2 after having played 3 and Elden Ring and all that stuff, Dark Souls 2 feels very janky because it's like there's a delay on everything. I
Yeah.
know we're not discussing the Dark Souls 2, but like to me Dark Souls 1 feels more responsive than 2, which feels like there's a delay on
Yeah,
everything you
that's
do.
that's reasonable, and I agree with that with a fair bit of things in two. But I think kind of just the net gain wise, because I'm so used to like the fluidity of Elden Ring, it was really hard to go back to the limitations of Dark Souls one's kind of stiffer movements at times. And I'm sure once I replay Dark Souls 2, which I probably will at some point, I will feel like, how am I able to play this after Elden Ring? That kind of thing. And I agree with you, Saigon. Actually, Dark Souls 1 does have some good colors. They're not always like does have some colors. They're not always good colors. Lost Izalith is painful to look at, and they're not always well balanced. Darkroot Garden is hard to see because the greens and the blues just blend together in this weird foggy mist that makes navigation hard. But like Anor Londo is gorgeous. Sen's Fortress has a really good militarized palette. Undead Bird, Undead Parish kind of do fit in that regard.
Yeah.
I
I
just
think Duke's Archives and Crystal Cave is actually pretty good
Duke's Archive
color-wise.
and Crystal Caves is good. But I kind of another thing, and this is something that feels weird because I'm playing the remastered version, which is supposed to have fixed this. The lighting feels absolutely awful in areas that are kind of slightly dark. Like,
If when somebody talks about Dark Souls 1 lighting, I will always agree because the biggest example of this is when you if you're doing if you're not taking any shortcuts and you kill Gaping Dragon, you get the key to Blighttown. You step you take one footstep
and the
from the
lighting
deck
changes, yeah.
into Blighttown, and the lighting just
Yeah.
drastically changes
Yeah.
out of nowhere. It's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck caused that to happen?
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about like visually, like places like Blighttown and Lost parts of Lost Izalith and the Darkroot Garden are like so hard to navigate because I feel like I genuinely can't see what's in front of me because of how some of the lighting works sometimes. And that's also true in Tomb of the Giants. Now, obviously, Tomb of the Giants you're supposed to have a lantern, but I'm like, even with the lantern up / the sunlight maggot, it feels really like I don't understand where the barriers are, where certain things are. And that's just a fidelity thing. That's so I guess if I'm trying to bring this to a conclusion, so yeah. So regarding balance, as I said before, Dark Souls 1 does feel very imbalanced. There's so many ways that you can just break the game in half and make it a cakewalk for the rest of the game, such that if you're like me and you still want it to be a challenge, you have to intentionally, like, avoid lots of things. And there's
Yeah.
also ways that you can
will
really
say,
fuck yourself over.
you're definitely right about that. The Black Knight weapons specifically are broken.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're supposed to be rare drops, but like if you do just a lot of times you do just get lucky and you'll get the sword or you'll get the great sword to drop, or if you go to Darkroot you'll get the halberd to drop at times, and then from there if you choose to use that weapon, which most people do because they're really cool looking weapons.
They're cool looking weapons with unique attacks, and yeah.
Yeah, then you're gonna feel busted for the rest of the game because those weapons are really fucking good and way better than every other weapon compared
Yeah.
to, right? Like
Yeah.
the claymore and the Black Knight sword are like the same sort of like size, range.
They're the
and
same
all that
size.
stuff.
They have almost the exact same movesets, pretty much the same weight. But the Black Knight sword is just flatly better in every way. And the only reason to use the claymore intentionally is if you want to either handicap yourself or for some reason the tiny weight difference actually means something.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I interrupt, or was that what you were gonna say, basically?
No, that was my whole thought.
So, yeah, the game balance feels all over the place, not just with the bosses, but with, like, what you can do. And, one could argue, it's an RPG, you're supposed to be able to find ways to crack the game. Yeah, that's fair, but that should be like, oh, I found a talent combination that lets me, like, use a specific spell or, like, attack or weapon combination that, like, completely steamrolls certain areas. It's not, I got the Black Knight sword to drop early on, or I glitched the Hellkite Drake and got the Great Sword way earlier than you're supposed to. I suddenly don't have to level up any of my offensive attributes for like 20 levels. Or
Yeah.
that's not a good example because you do need to level up attributes to use the weapons, but like, it becomes I don't have to use any other weapon and I one-shot all basic enemies for like ever. And to be fair, I kept using the Black Knight weapons against enemies, like not bosses, because there's a lot of places where I just wanted to get through the areas. I wasn't trying to speed run, but like it just became easier. Okay, I hit the enemy 3 times and then that twice and then that's it instead of 5 times.
Yeah. I mean, you never want to be like having to hit a basic hollow more than once,
Yeah. I didn't know you could remap 2 to double tap. That's interesting, Saigon. Dark Souls is like Shin Megami Tensei. Only the beginning of your first game is really hard. After things get going a lot easier, and the more you play the games in the same franchise, the more you remember quirks and design patterns that carry on. That's very true. And yes, they have improved in the lighting tech over time, which is funny, even with the like really bad, with like the really bad like lighting effects that I will admit Dark Souls 2 did have. Like they're still better than Dark Souls 1 because they don't like enter situations where I don't know what's happening, I can't see. So if I wanted, I don't like to give number scores for games. It feels reductive, and it feels like, everything below 7 is automatically bad. That's how 7 out of 10. Like that's how it's like, people have been trained to think, and so I don't like giving number scores. I like Dark Souls 1. I like Dark Souls 1 a lot. I really had a lovely time playing this game, and I'm going to play it 2 more times, or at least 1.5 more times, so that I can get all the achievements, which requires going to New Game Plus. And I am glad that I played it, and I'm glad that I had the experience. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if it had been my first one, or maybe my second after Demon Souls, and I think I would have enjoyed it even more if I had played it before Elden Ring came out. But it was good. I made a good decision to play it, and thank you, Doomtroid, for finally convincing me to play it by telling me that you would be here with me. So
I'm glad you did.
I'm not going to rank it in the other Dark Souls games, because I'm just generally kind of skeevy-ish on ranking games, and like coming up with number scores. I feel like it's reductive and kind of gets rid of a lot of the complexity of opinions and such. I'll just say that there are some very specific. There are some areas that I like. I think it's the best, and those ones I've made pretty clear, like level design, world design, that kind of thing. There are some areas where I think it's the worst. I'm talking about quality of life and some of the gameplay stuff and some of the balancing and progression. And there's some stuff where I think it's comparable with the other games. And I'm talking about like, I'm talking about like kind of the variety of weapons. Well, actually, no, that's not a good example. And there's some stuff where I think it's comparable with the other games if we're talking about like music and kind of not visual fidelity, but kind of visual design, where I think the kind of aesthetic works in different ways. So I'm not going to give this a number score, but I am going to say I enjoyed it. There's specific parts about this that I think are the best in the series. There's parts that I think are the worst, and there's parts that I think are representative of the series as a whole. And hopefully that sums up my thoughts.
Yep, pretty good.
Thank you. So I'm going to keep streaming a little bit, if you're okay with that, Doomtroid and Saigon, because I want to get the demon. I want to get the demon great hammer, and I want to get to Firelink so I can at least level up and start making progress on the Warriors of Sunlight Covenant, because I want to get that, because I only need that miracle and the Dark Moon Blade miracle in order to get the miracle achievement.
When you do your third
Holy shit.
new game, you
Holy shit!
Probably. What? Yeah.
Okay, when I do my third new game,
you really could just rush to Civ.
I know that's.
Well, I guess you can't do anything with it until you get
to Anor Londo, yeah. And you need to have enough shards and such built up to level up the weapons that you need.
You have enough strength to use the Demon Greyhammer, right?
I don't think so. I have a fairly low strength of only 40 because I've been using a bunch of.
You need a two-hander, right? It's only 50 strength.
Yeah, I can. It's 46. I can use it with 2 hands.
Yeah, I want to see what you think of the moveset.
Okay, well, let me go out here in a big open space to do that. Okay. Basic swings. Kind of can chain them. Probably can poise stun lock people like that. Wow, that is a weird fucking roll attack. Like, I've seen that roll attack in a lot of, like, Dark Souls 2 movesets, but, like, usually it's, like, more fluid. In this one, you just come to a stop and then jab it down.
Yeah.
Run attack. That's the very standard 2-hand big weapon run attack, just overhead. Do that again. Jump attack. standard two-hand heavy jump attack. And what are the heavy attacks? It's just a bigger overhead slam. Okay, well that's kind of basic. Yeah, it's not really anything unexpected. It's
But
not as...
it's a big hammer, and so it's fun.
It is, yes. I do think that it is... I prefer that to the Zweihander / Ultra Great Sword sets, because those are just... They're just so clunky. I don't like them.
I actually realized, like, when I went back and played Dark Souls Remastered again, I really don't like the Zweihander. Like, it is the best weapon to use at the very beginning of the game because it doesn't take, like, you can get the strength required to two-hand it pretty quickly and easily, but like, damn, it's so slow and clunky, and like, I believe I told you, like, I used it all the way up to Bell Gargoyles, and trying to cut off Bell Gargoyle's tail, I was just like, damn, this is fucking tough. Like, how did I ever do this before?
Yeah. I tried to cut off the tail with the bell... Cut off with the Bell Gargoyle's tail, if you remember. Okay. Oscar should be here, right? Oh, hi, Oscar. Okay, well, I'm just gonna skip through most of his dialogue, because I've already heard it. Oh, there's Nab up there. Oh.
You know the fastest way to skip through his dialogue?
Just kill him, yes, I know. I'm not gonna do that, but, yeah. Apparently I sinned a bunch, when I went back to Oswald. I think that's because I think that's because I kept abandoning covenants in order to join new ones for the sake of, like, you know, getting, like, you know, an item or two for an achievement. And I think the game, since that counts as a sin, I think the game was like, you fucking suck. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Oswald. Or, sorry, Oscar. Oh, when he died. Poor guy. Poor buddy. I'm using the Claymore because I one-shot everything, and there's no reason not to use my fastest weapon. What does the big Pilgrim's Key open again?
The door.
No, the big Pilgrim's Key.
The door.
The
The
door.
one right after Asylum Demon.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Did I never go that way? I don't think I ever did that.
Well, okay, so when you do it the first time, you get the big pilgrim key from killing the Asylum Demon because you would have already progressed to this area, right? But if you kill Asylum Demon first, you get the big pilgrim key from Oscar.
Oh, I see. So that you can't just, like, leave instantly.
That way, yeah, you have to go get the Estus from Oscar in order to leave.
Right. There's no reason for me to really do this, but I'm just going to run through just in case there is, like, an item or two that I missed.
You haven't missed anything. I can tell you for a fact you should really just go.
Okay, then I will just go. Oh, this is how you would get back. I said this is how you would get back. Let me through. Okay, and I can't go through this yet because you get this by, on your return to the Undead Asylum, right? Yeah, okay. Alright, well, time for me to just leave, then. Oh god, I am gonna have to get used to, not having stuff kindled anymore. I can hear you, Stray Demon. I'll be back and kill you at some point. There is an item here, right? Yes, there is. Oh, Lost and Dead. That's not worth picking up. I don't know why I did that. And then, isn't there also the crow here that you can give stuff to? Yes, there is. Oh, I guess they're not active when you're first here. They're only active on the return.
Yeah.
Okay, well. Alright, time to skip. And skip. Okay. No. There's a very annoyingly long gap between when you can keep talking to people. Okay, come on. Okay, I'll leave you alone. Okay, I am going to... Oh, fuck, I can't repair items until I meet Andre. Shit. I'm gonna put all of these points into Faith because... Oh, God, that's only 2 level ups. Jeez. Because I need to get to 25 Faith in order to use the Sunlight Altar. So this is gonna be... These are gonna be 15 useless level ups. Because there's no way to, like, respec in this game. Which I also think is something the remaster should have done.
Yeah.
Oh, Amanda Carla, you're back. Unfortunately, you missed a really engaging game design discussion, but you'll be able to see it on the VOD. Okay, so, oh wow, this is 20 Estus, so I guess the kindling did stay. Interesting. I could actually just go kill Ingward for the key, right? And then fight the 4 kings now, basically, right?
Yeah.
Do you not recommend I do so?
Well, no, you can't. You need to get the Covenant of Artorias.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Okay, well... Ah, shit. Okay. Well, do you want me to stop streaming so you can do whatever you wanted to do, or should I just leave you on?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, then, thanks again, everyone. I have beaten Dark Souls 1 in the remastered form. See ya. Thanks for the journey. I will not be streaming the New Game Plus stuff. I'm just gonna do that on my own time for the sake of brevity and doing it faster. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Emotes. Bye-bye.